want it, I get it.
Welcome to the We Are Unbothered podcast. I'm Jessica Lane. This is my host, Jillian DiBenedetto. Hi.
Hello.
Today, this episode is going to be a little different. This is going to be called How to Become a Living Spell. So this is basically a masterclass to teach you how to embody spell work. So my credentials: identify as a witch, psychic medium. I got all the clairs, like clairvoyant, claircognizant. There's actually like 8 clairs. I got them all. And through discovering that about myself, I started out doing spell work where I would use soil, candles, tangible earth materials, and I would do spells for like a special occasion when I wanted to manifest something, when I wanted a certain outcome. And over time, over many years, I started to develop a really solid relationship with my spirit guides, my galactic allies, my ancestors, different animal spirits, land spirits, just nature. And I learned that I got to a point where I was like, I don't have to do a whole spell because the way that I speak, think, move, act is in alignment with the outcome I want. So I learned, like, I embodied my spell, and that's how I live my life. So now
Tell
it's
us what a galactic ally is, because I feel like that might be something that people don't really know.
Sure. So galactic allies, there's galactic intelligence, there's Arcturians, Palladians. Palladians are like Cancer energy. Like I work with them. They're very emotional, empathic. And then there's Syrians. I work with Syrian B. I don't know a ton about them. I just know that like I am a hybrid of like 5 different galactic families. And sometimes I forget their names because they're unusual.
So
But
these are other planets, other palatial beings? Is that how you say it?
they're not planets. You can think of it as like a lineage. There's not necessarily, from what I have discovered, there's not a hierarchy. It's like everyone just has a different job and they're all important. And these galactic intelligences, you can think of it just like intelligence. Like I can tap into that kind of intelligence to do a certain kind of job. Like if I'm doing emotional work, it's Palladian. And I think Arcturians are like the builders. I can't remember. Because I got to a point where I'm just like, I know there's somebody to help me with this thing. So I'm just saying, come help me. But you can call them out by name if you want to.
Okay,
So
cool.
I call them my galactic ally, my galactic bestie. I call them Orin. And Orin has been like basically like assigned to help my soul ascend. Orin has been with me through all of my lifetimes. They are my frequency strategist. And so sometimes when I need help with language, where I'm like, there's this thing that I'm feeling that I'm doing and I don't have the words for it, I like reach out to Orin and Orin's like, here's the words. So we partner. And what I love about the Galactic Allies is it is a partnership and they're here to help souls ascend. They're here to help human beings. And if you have a creative project that you want to do and you feel like it's just in you, that's your soul. That's part of your soul's mission. Like some of the greatest songs that have ever been written, like you hear musicians say, like, I didn't write that. It just like came to me.
Yeah.
That's channeling. And so you don't have to necessarily be spiritual or have a spiritual practice to work with galactic allies because they're just intelligence. And they're fun. They're great. I'm a fan. So that's what I mean when I say galactic allies.
hmm
So, because I've been working with them for so long, instead of doing a spell, I just say, I want this, I want that. And I've watched it just happen. And I'm going to talk about how you can become a living spell and the steps that you can take to where you don't have to consciously be manifesting all the time. You can just say, I want this, and then know that it happens. So, let's start there. And I'm going to pull up my notes because this is long. Okay. When you have a goal and you create a strategy, I call that a spell. So just like you would do a marketing strategy to hit a certain KPI, you can use that same formula to create a spell. So for example, if you want a job, I did a class on how to get a job using water magic. So for example, you can get a jar of water, speak what you want into it, let that jar marinate overnight, drink it the next morning, and then move through life knowing you just asked your unseen allies, that's what I call them, for help, and just assume you're going to get that help. And then you move through life with the confidence knowing you're going to get what you asked for.
Mhm.
And something I don't do is talk about timing. Like, I can tell people it took me this amount of time, but it's time isn't real in the way that we measure it here on earth. Like, time is not linear. Like, when I think of time in the unseen realms, it's layered. It can be parallel and layered.
Mhm.
And so if someone is like, well, I want this outcome in 30 days, I cannot help you with that. It's going to happen when it happens. Everything has energy, but we also live on earth where people are going to manipulate energy. Money has to move through hands before it can get to us. So people are going to be involved in the outcome that you want.
Mhm.
So the way that I make that easier for me is with boundaries. Boundaries are a spell. So if there's a certain job you want and people are talking to you about jobs you don't want, well, a boundary could be like, I'm going to tune that out.
Mhm.
And I'm going to stay on the path that I believe will get me the outcome I want. And there's
Mhm.
always going to be distortions. So that's why I call back my energy. And I'll say all of my energy comes back to me cleaned, amplified, protected. Nobody is able to use it without my permission.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So when you cast a spell, when you set your intentions, you want to move in that direction. That means you're going to have to set boundaries with people, with anything that does not want you going in that direction. So when I say boundaries or spells, if someone does not respect you, they lose their access to you. If somebody is not pouring into you, they lose their access to you. If you're not in a reciprocal relationship, that relationship will drain you. And when you're drained, it's a lot harder to work towards your goals.
Mhm.
So, what I'm a big fan of is burning bridges. I'm not giving people a second chance anymore. I've done that. And all it does is show me that that other person is going to continue to disappoint me in the same way over and over because they're not learning, they're not changing their behavior. Human behavior is a pattern. If somebody is learning from their mistakes, you'll see it reflected in their actions and in their behavior. So I'm a big fan of burning bridges and then taking what you learned and using it as tools, using it as insights. And the way that you can alchemize that is turn your pain into power. Turn your mess into your message. I'm estranged from my entire family. I escaped in a violent and abusive family. And then I created a course called How to Get Through Family Estrangement on my school. That's
Mhm.
how you can alchemize that pain. That's how you take the bad stuff that happened and you turn it into tools that other people can use so that they don't have to go through the same pain that you went through. Or if they are, now they have a guide. That
Mhm.
is a living spell. That is embodying sovereignty. And sovereignty is a high vibrational frequency. Now, that's not the whole game because we live on earth. So my disclaimer is a lot of spiritual guides, spiritual teachers, they're just like, everything is energy and that's all there is. Well, we live on earth and there is systemic oppression here. Systemic oppression is economic oppression. And if you're manifesting money while being impacted by systemic oppression, it can slow things down. And that is why such a big advocate for removing people's access to you when they tell you you can't do the thing that you want to do.
Mhm.
When people project their fear and their doubt onto you, that's a spell and it
Yeah.
will pull you down and F your shit up. That's why I don't keep those people in my life. Like when people are like, oh my gosh, you'll never achieve that dream. You'll never be my friend again. Bye. That's how that works. That is how you embody the outcome of the spell that you are casting. Next, let's talk about authenticity because that's a big one for us.
Yeah.
Authenticity is a spell. Authenticity is a filter. When you become so rooted in who you are, that's a high vibrational frequency. That is magic. And being authentic, that is your gift to the world because nobody else can do it. Only you can do that. So that's why I like when it comes to brand voice, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to social media and messaging, I'm like, be authentic. I also
Yeah.
teach classes on that because that is how you honor your boundaries. That is sovereign. Like sovereign leaders, they're authentic.
Mhm.
People who blow up on social media, like one of my favorite makeup artists, is it Michaela on TikTok? Like
Oh,
She's so authentic, like, she just talks how she wants to talk, and it's made her millions.
wow.
Another thing I like to tell people about authenticity is it's high risk, high reward. Because when you become authentic in how you speak, how you present, how you look, that's going to irritate people who don't like it. It's going
Mhm.
to irritate people who are not authentic, and it's going to irritate people who are too afraid to do what you do. So,
Yeah.
what do you do with those people? You remove them from your life. You remove their access to you.
Mhm.
And that can be difficult when it's someone that like you're married to or in a relationship with, but you just have to decide what's more important, the goals and the dreams that you want to achieve or the people that are holding you back. For me, that's an easy decision. So when you become authentic and maybe you want to start calling out injustice, maybe
Yep.
you want to start calling out disrespect, because if that's what's coming to you, you have
Mhm.
to tell it to go away.
Mhm.
And that can create a lot of controversy and it can irritate a lot of people. So that's my disclaimer that being authentic is high risk, high reward, but that's also how you embody the spells that you're casting.
Right. So become your most authentic self and you will attract the right people into
Yes.
your life.
And that is your new life. And that is the unknown. And it's going to cost you your old life. So I'll give
Mm.
you a real life example. I went through family estrangement and divorce at the same time. It began in November, December 2017, and lost all my family. And immediately a new community rushed in to catch me, to help me, and to support me. So it's like I got a new family like overnight. And it doesn't always work out that quickly. Like, for example, that family, that community that I just described, they disappeared in the pandemic. They moved, they left the state, they left the country, and I was just by myself doing the pandemic alone. So sometimes you do go through isolation phases when you're burning bridges, when you're cutting people off. Sometimes you do end up alone. And I've also experienced that post layoff. I got laid off September 2023,
Mhm.
lost all my friends, all my community, and I have been very isolated for the last 2.5 years. But what I gained is all of my psychic powers became heightened. All of my clairs improved. Sometimes isolation is the container that you need to tune in, tap in to your spirit guides, your spirit gifts. Like I was
Yeah.
forced to rely on my spell work, on cleansing my energy, on building relationships with my guides, with my ancestors, with different deities. I had to rely on them because I did not have any people in my
Mhm.
life. So if you find yourself in that situation, maybe it's time for you to tap into your psychic gifts because
Yeah.
everybody is psychic.
Mhm.
We're born psychic. Children are psychic.
Yep, they sure are.
Like all that
Like
weird stuff they say and they make up their imagination, that is real somewhere.
my kids have definitely said some weird stuff to me that I was like, "What? How would you know that?"
Mhm. And I think I love listening to kids talk.
Mhm.
And it's really sad to me when some parents are like, no, you can't say that. Because what you're teaching that child is their voice is wrong. When they speak up, they're
Yeah.
wrong. When they're authentic, they're wrong. Those are, and I'm not saying you do that, but that's what happened to me. And that's why it took me so long to realize I was psychic. I am a medium. And I think kids are already tapped into that. And I would love to see people nurture that with their kids. I think that
Yeah.
that could be really fun.
Same. I think that once you figure out who you are, you start attracting people that are most like you and have your same core beliefs. And it might take time, it might not happen right away. But once you find those people, it's kind of like, oh, there you are.
There you are.
Kind of feel
Yes,
that way, where you can also be your most authentic self. You're not hiding for anybody. You're not lying about things that you think that they would want you to do or say. You're just being who you are, and it
exactly.
comes naturally almost.
Yeah, like, I think our friendship, our relationship, it is so easy. Like,
Mhm.
I it's like, there you are.
Yeah.
And Jillian and I manifested each other. Jillian has a background in graphic design. She's a creative director. I have a background in copywriting and am a creative director with words. And I manifested Jillian and her skill sets. And it took a while for us to find each other. Jillian, I think you said you saw, like, when I started my current LinkedIn, it was like spring of 2025. And you said you saw like one of my first posts.
Yeah, I saw it was like your first ever post because I remember I clicked on your profile because I was like, who is this girl? She's hilarious. And you had like nothing. It was like just that one post. And then I think you had posted an article or something before that. And that was it. There was nothing else. And I was like, oh, okay, we have a newbie here.
I had killed my old LinkedIn because I was like, I don't know her anymore. Like, she can be put to rest. We're going to start a new one. And it's been interesting. Like, I've made all of my friends on LinkedIn. Like, all of my friends I talk to on the phone that I do creative projects, I've met them on LinkedIn within the last since April 2025.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I have met so many people that I'm honestly, I don't know. It's so crazy to me that these people were like always there, always around. And all it took was me being my most authentic self
Yeah.
to meet them. Like
Yeah.
how it feels when you think back, it feels like inherently powerful, but it also feels almost refreshing in a way
Yeah.
that there
Yeah.
are people like you out there and you will attract them if you are attracting the right light. If you're shining the right light, the right people will find you.
Exactly. And like, we are lighthouses. And when we dim our light, it makes it harder and take longer for
Mhm.
people to find us. And I want to talk about, if someone's like, how do I be authentic? It is, I can give you some steps to get there. It can take a while. Like, I've been doing this work for, I don't know, 10 years or so, but here's the highlights. Go to therapy, learn about boundaries. If someone does not benefit from your boundaries, they don't benefit from you being your best self. Get rid of them. What else? Find your midhaven. Your midhaven is part of your birth chart. You can just Google, like, what is my midhaven, and figure it out that way. But your midhaven is related to the type of work that you're meant to do. And then from there, I want people to go find your life path number. I'm a life path number 33. Jillian is a life path number 7. Your life path number is calculated when you take the month you were born, the day you were born, and the year. Like, those are all numbers. You add them up, you condense them down in a certain way, and you get a number. Go Google that, find your life path number, and spend some time looking at your birth chart. Hire an astrologer. We have a great friend named Jim who's a wonderful astrologer. You can also get a free app. What's the one I use sometimes? It's not the best. CoStar. I use the free version of CoStar. It works fine. But my point is, astrology is your roadmap.
Mhm.
And then from there, that gives you some groundwork, that gives you an idea of like who you are. And another thing people can do is, like, when I was a child, I was writing books. My teachers were like publishing them. I was doing the illustrations. I was writing them and I was entering them in these contests every year. My teachers were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a published author, which I am now. I self-published my first book Monday. Amazon needs like 72 hours before it's like available to buy. So it should be available to buy this week. It's called They Cannot Control You. And maybe that is something, but then people squashed it. Like, I made
Yep.
these 4 books, first grade through 4th grade, put them in contests, won gold stars, and then nothing ever happened. And my mom was an English teacher. She taught me how to write, but she never helped me build a career as a writer because she just kept saying, you can't say that, you can't do this. My mom always told me what I couldn't do. And fuck that lady. Her name's Michelle Hooper. Fuck you, Michelle Hooper, forever. She took away my voice. She took away my power. But before she did that, she saw it. She could see it. And she said, that's a threat. We don't do that here. You're not allowed to be authentic. And my dad was the same way. He's nuts. His name's Johnny Hooper. Fuck that guy too. So I grew up with a dad who was a state trooper who was beating all of his children, all of his animals. And I never saw him hit my mom, but I was like, he's hitting everybody and everything else. Why would he not hit my mom?
Right.
So And then I had this mom who was always the victim, no matter what. And she was hitting me while she was teaching me how to read. Like when I struggled to read as a kid, my mom would hit me in the face. So that made reading really hard. It made writing really hard. And I did not grow up with a stable foundation. I had to learn how to do that on my own. And when I did, I became a published author, you know? And before that, I was a copywriter for 10 years, 13 years in marketing. So when you find something that lights you up, for me, it's writing and spell casting. You have tools where you can make money off those things. Like I set up a school, SKOOL. The fee is like $9 a month. Whatever it is you're passionate about, make educational content on that. Create a school, create a community. And then that's authentic. And like you said, like that's going to bring people in that are meant to work with you and that are meant to collaborate with you. And that's living work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything you want to share there?
I have never done anything like that before. I should start some sort of educational. I just don't know what I would do.
That's okay. Like people have time. And I don't know, like the job market is, you know, in the dumpster and everyone I know is in survival mode, myself
Mhm.
included.
Yeah.
But I was like, my way out is sharing my gifts with the world. And that's been really hard. And I have not had enough support. So I want people to know like these are not overnight successes. Like me
Right.
setting up my school, me publishing my book. I've been building and building and building, and I have yet to have a big payday. And so
Mhm.
what's been so hard is that financial component. Like so many spiritual teachers and coaches are like, watch how fast the universe takes
Right.
care of you. Well, sometimes the universe taking care of you means yes, you held on to your one bedroom apartment, but you've got 8 credit cards and you're in massive debt, but you kept a roof over your head. Like sometimes that's the world we're living in, and that can be really scary for people. So I've had so many like spiritual coaches lead me to believe that I was going to make so much money so fast. And I think that's dangerous. And I think that that's unethical for that to be the only narrative. Like
Yeah.
I'm here to tell people that this is hard
Mhm.
and it is the most amount of work I've ever done for the least amount of money.
Yeah.
But I also know that that's temporary. And I've built a stable foundation. I've built it and they're coming. They're coming. And for the last few months, my income grows every month. It gets a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger.
Mhm.
And that is what keeps me going. And I've also just had to let go. People have been telling me to let go, but nobody wanted to tell me how to let go. I let go of timing. Like for me, that was a big one.
Yeah.
We want things to happen so fast, but on earth, things don't move fast. And
I
so,
love that idea.
yeah,
Mhm. I
you
do
want to talk
because
more?
so I feel like everybody is always saying you should do this by this age, or
Mm-hmm.
you should, you should have kids by this age, you should have a solid career by this age. And it adds this perception and expectation to our lives that isn't right for everyone
Yeah.
because everyone is different. And I really stress to my kids and to a lot of people that I've been talking to lately is that, okay, so I'll tell you a story. So my mom's a child psychologist, as I've said before, and my daughter was having like a really hard time when she started elementary school. She was getting bullied a lot. And my mom told me this story, which I in turn told my daughter. And I said, imagine you wake up one day and you walk outside and all these flowers have bloomed, but they're all the same. They all look the same. They're the same color, the same height, just rows and rows of the same flower. Would you get bored of that flower? And then imagine you wake up that day and all these flowers have bloomed, but they're all different. They're all different colors, they're different sizes, they're different shapes. How long would it take you to explore all of those flowers? That is what we are as humans. We are all different. We look different. We talk different. We feel different things. And I hate to my core when somebody says you should do or be a certain thing by a certain time because we are all different and we should be treated as such. And I had such issues growing up, like being in school, because everyone was expected to do the exact same thing, no matter where you came from, no
And learn
matter
the same way and
learn the
only
same
be
way. And it's only gotten worse with my kids. I see it. It's gotten 10 times worse. It's very uniform and almost like totalitarian in a way. And it makes me so angry. But I think that the only way for every single person to flourish in their life, no matter where you are, is if you set your expectations to the floor, right? Have no expectations and celebrate every win, right? Because
I
it's
love
like,
celebrating the wins. Yes.
yeah,
Like if I can just feel a little bit better, like that's a realistic goal. Like, for example, today, one of my favorite things to do is light candles in my home. And I put them in hurricane jars and they have holes in them that looks like a
so
constellation. So
cool.
when you put a candle in it, it shoots out light and it looks like the sky. And I have not been able to afford candles. And that is so sad for me. And then today, my favorite candle company, Aniceto, they make like non-toxic candles that smell really good. They were on sale. And they were on such big sale that I got them for like $10 a piece. And normally they're close to like $30 a piece. And I was like, that's a win.
That is a win,
That's
right?
a
It's a small
win.
win.
That's a
Yeah,
small
so
win.
I learned about small wins when my daughter was 2 years old. She got super, super sick, and I had a friend who's a pediatric nurse, and I was texting her. I was like, I don't know what to do. Her fever was like 104. And she's like, give her Tylenol. It'll be okay. Take her temperature an hour after you give her the Tylenol. I gave her the Tylenol and her fever only went down to like 102. And she's like, it's fine. It went down. She's like, it went down. That's good. That's a small win. The fever went down. It should continue going down because you think like 102 is still such a high fever. She's like, small win, small win. And I'm like, okay. And then I started kind of implementing that in the things that I did day to day. It was like, I'm so busy today, but I have time to like fold a basket of laundry, or I have time to, get the dishes out of my sink, or I have time to blow dry my hair. Small win, a small win. My house might be a complete disaster, but my hair looks cute, like a small win that makes you feel good. And then it's
Yes.
all of these little things that add up together to make you feel who you are, what you want, what you need. Like it's little details that add up to something big.
Yeah. And like I have really had to, I feel like I've had nothing but small wins. Like since I got laid off September 2023, over 2.5 years ago, I haven't been able to find a full-time job. And sometimes I have to write down what I did. And like, here's a short list. Like, self-published my first book. Uh,
Mm,
built a website, wrote the website, designed it, launched it all by myself, built a brand. I have a YouTube and a TikTok for my tarot readings and my spiritual stuff. We have a
yeah.
podcast. We're working on a Patreon. That's just been since I met you. Before that, I created an IP, like an intellectual property called the Galactic Brand Voice, where I help companies find their authentic brand voice through it's a combination of me channeling and it's a combination of work that I figured out how to do in Chat GPT. Nobody else is doing it like this because it involves channeling and AI. And then I taught a class on that, which is like a smaller version. And then before that, I was in other industries as a coach. I learned how to be a coach. And I was like, I don't like doing that. I rather be a guide, which means I give people the information and then they're responsible for the outcome. I'm not going to like hold their hand for months at a time. Like, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
I just want to be like, here's some information for you.
Yeah.
And then before that, I was a Dom. I can't say a lot about that here, but I've just learned how to do all of these things. I was like, that's a lot. And like, that's not even the whole list because some of it I can't talk about on here. But I was like, I have done so much.
Mhm.
And I was like, I deserve to be paid for all of that work because of systemic oppression, economic oppression, and getting rid of like negative entities and people who are trying to hold me back and sabotage my career. Call the cops on them. That's a spell. Getting a lawyer is spell work. Calling the cops, that's hexing. And sometimes you have to do that. Like when your spiritual work and your energetic work and what you're doing, if that is not enough to keep you safe, I had to call the cops on my
Mhm.
parents. I had to file a harassment report with my parents. And then I went to the district attorney's office and I applied for a family violence protection order against my parents. And then my sisters wouldn't stop harassing me. So I had to call my sister's place of employment. JC Hooper was harassing me. I called her employer, Raising Cane's Chicken. She works in HR. Like an HR employee at Raising Cane's has been harassing my job seeking posts since July of 2025. And I delete her comments because they're gross and weird. And she would like copy and paste the same comment on multiple posts. And I was like,
That is weird.
that is weird. She's also a raging alcoholic and has been for about 20 years. I know what that does to somebody's brain. She's also been anorexic for 20 something years. I know what that does to somebody's brain. So I know this girl ain't in her right mind and she's not getting the help that she needs. And that does not give her an excuse to harass me. Like,
Mhm.
I want to talk about not giving people grace
Yeah.
because I gave my sister, JC Hooper, 41 years of second chances, and she disappointed me every single time. She harassed me online. She harassed me via email. She harassed me on the phone. She showed up on my doorstep, just like my parents did. She doesn't live where I live. And for her to show up on my doorstep, she was like, I was on vacation. I just wanted to stop by. I did not open my door. I did not acknowledge that she had been here. She showed up on my doorstep uninvited, announced, unprovoked, and then left me a handwritten note on my door telling me what I needed to do for her. That is not a reciprocal relationship. That has to go. If I would have stayed in a relationship with my family, I don't think I would be alive anymore. And this is serious. And I want people to know who you have in your life is going to impact your health and your
Mhm.
wealth. And
Mhm.
you need to decide what is more important to you, people pleasing or being healthy and wealthy. Because for me, I could not have all of that at the same time. And speaking out publicly is part of my soul's mission. And I'm connected to mermaid and siren energy. I'm also connected to coyote and dragon energy. I am here for the revolution.
Dragons. My favorite spirit animal. Do you think the dragons had to have been real, right?
I think there's so much about dragons that is real. Do they?
I went into this freaking deep dive the other day. Have you seen the Chinese calendar, like the Chinese like rat, dog? So all those other animals are real. So
Yeah.
dragons had to have been real at some point. Like why would they have all real animals except one fake one? No,
Right?
dragons were real. I 100% believe it. I don't care, and I want a dragon to find me. Like specifically, I want Tarn to find me. If anyone's read Fourth Wing, shout out to you. But yeah, I want to fly on a black dragon, like black like my heart.
I love that. So that's what Chloe is. I had this dog, Chloe. I had her when I was a married person, and Chloe was the most beautiful dog I've ever seen. She had white eyes and a mostly black body. She was like 50 pounds. Her underneath, like throat down belly, was white with black spots, and her tail, she had a long tail that kind of curved and a white stripe down her face, and like her legs were like tricolor brindle, and she lean muscle, like lean, sleek and athletic and ferocious. Like, oh my God, I couldn't take that girl nowhere. Like, she's getting us kicked out of the
You're a
dog park.
protector.
What? She was. And we lived in a very stressful home. It was not a safe or healthy relationship with my ex-husband, and Chloe knew it. And my ex-husband, Dave Whitty, had Chloe before I arrived. And when I met him and I met Chloe, I was like, Chloe looks just like the dog I had in college, which is my coyote spirit animal. The only difference between like Chloe and Susie basically was like their eye color.
Mm,
And I fell in love with Chloe immediately because that's my spirit animal.
yeah.
Chloe is my familiar. So is Susie, the dog I had in college. It looked just like her. And the universe sent her to me because they're like, girl, we know you're about to make a dumb decision by being with this man. So we're going to send you a dragon. Okay. And whenever me and my ex-husband, Dave Whitty, would get in fights, Chloe would get in between us and bark at him and growl at him and like lean on me. Like she would get in between us.
Interesting.
And he SA'd me, and Chloe would protect my womb space. Whenever I would sit down, Chloe would put her face in my lap. If I was sitting on the ground, Chloe would sit in between my legs, like she was protecting my womb so that he couldn't get near it. And dragons are really special. They're also battle tested. Dragons will win the war. They will win the fight. So Chloe, whenever I need something, even though she's not with me in the physical, she passed away. Um, that's still my dragon. And so it is a spirit, it is an energy. And if you need them to go to war for you, Just
Wow. That's crazy.
yeah, be a living spell. Okay, we're almost out of time, so let me just do a rapid fire. I want y'all to look into your clairs. Your clairs are your senses. So there's clairvoyance, which is seeing. A lot of times have visions in my third eye. I see them before they happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
There's claircognizant, which is like a clear knowing, like you just know stuff. I have that one really strong.
I
There's
feel like I have that
clairaudience.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's clairaudience, which is like hearing, like if your ear is ringing or something. There's clairempathy, which is like your emotional feeling. I got that one. There's the physical feeling I get that one where it's like a pain in my chest, usually accompanied with the knowing. There's like a clairtangency, like touch, like you can feel touch. I get that one sometimes. There's one for smelling and tasting. So look into the clairs and then ask yourself, where has that shown up in my life where I knew something that I didn't have any business knowing, or I felt
Mm-hmm.
something? And that's data. That's your spirit guides, your galactic allies, your ancestors. That's data for you to analyze, and they're going to get that message to you the easiest way possible. So pay attention to your clairs, things that can interfere with that. If you have like PTSD, anxiety, depression, insomnia, you take certain prescriptions, that can dull your gifts temporarily. So just think of this as a practice. So, for
Yeah.
example, it can be hard if you have anxiety. You're like, is this a panic attack or is this a message from my guides? Here's how you can tell the difference. When it's a message from your guides, it feels like you can exhale. It's good news. They're giving you good news. And even if there's like a dark theme, they're going to help you get out of it. Like your guides are never going to harm you. And if that's what you're experiencing, then that could be a demon, it could be a negative entity, and there are professionals out there that can help you get rid of that. You can always cleanse your energy, take an Epsom salt bath, do a banishing spell, and go on about your business. Like those things are temporary. And if you're tired, if you're exhausted, rest. Rest is revolution, okay? You have to take breaks so that you can recharge your batteries and go on about your business.
Mm-hmm. I
All
love
right.
this. I think I'm gonna do a spell tonight with a glass of water.
Yeah, I could do a part 2 on this too. Like I had 10 pages of notes, so maybe that's what we'll do for our next one.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Ooh, maybe I'll do the spell and then report back.
Yeah, I like
I want to
that.
do that. Yeah. All right. Well, it was great hanging out with you guys and learning all about this. Thank you, Jess. I feel like more empowered than I did this morning, actually.
That's the goal.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Incredible, I like it. I'm unstoppable, I love it. Unbreakable, don't spoil it. It's undeniable. I see it, I want it, I get it.